Welcome back, and this is the last recording for this course. If you are a student here at Alfred State, we'll be going over these in a little bit more detail in class as we have troubleshooting problems that arise. And this presentation is going to be essentially two things. So domain trust and then tools that you have as a network admin. On the basic level, there are a bunch out there, but they all do similar things. And what they are, and essentially just when you're going to use them. So first thing that we're going to have to go over is domain trust. So a trust, as we talked about before in a different recording, is essentially a way of getting resources from another domain. So a common scenario is when two companies merge, there's a domain for company A and then a domain for company B. When that happens, either they need to trust those domains or completely reconfigure their resources, so servers and switches and routers and users and everything else that goes into making a enterprise domain into one domain, or they can just trust it. So there's a couple options here for trusting domains. You can have two-way trust, so that's a full trust both ways, that's fine. One-way trust is the example I gave before in the other recording was if at CIT our department made a domain, which we don't have access to, but if we did, we would trust the primary domain from Alfred State, and then our domain would not be trusted. Okay, so that would give us access to all the Alfred State things that we normally have, and then the Alfred State domain itself wouldn't have any access to our resources, and that's probably a good thing because we don't necessarily want the general public to have our security tools for the most part. We do have a cybersecurity lab coming eventually, so that'll probably be over the summer. But different thing for a different day. Transit trusts are created by when there is a subdomain. So anytime that you have a subdomain, there's an automatic inheritance of trust, which makes sense. If we're talking about parent and child, which this is typically how it's described as, if we have a subdomain, it's a child of that parent, and obviously the child and the parent should trust each other. It's transitive trust. Non-transitive, the exact opposite, where the parent doesn't trust the child. I don't know what scenario that would be right offhand, but it is an option. And then external trust, allowing a trust from a different forest. Okay, so those are your options for domain trust. Yeah, it just depends. When you find yourself in that scenario, they tend to be, oh, okay, yeah, I can use this here. And some of them are not immediately obvious on when you would use them, but obviously someone has ran into this problem in the past and they exist today because someone has run into that edge case where that's what they wanted to do and that was the best solution to solve that problem. So when we're talking about primary tools, right, we're talking big picture here. So we have logs, packet sniffers, and network monitors. So a log is going to give you essentially a hint of what's wrong, if it even logs it at all. So if we're talking about a power log, well, okay, well, at least you have a ballpark of what's wrong. So then you have to consider the scenario of what the problem actually is. So if something like I had a problem with my laptop last semester, running Ubuntu on it, where it was never able to come back from a sleep state or hibernation state. So, okay, well, that particular problem, I couldn't look at the logs, but if I could, and it was weird coming up where it had to reset every time, something along those lines, the logs would told me at least the series of steps that it took and give me an opportunity to troubleshoot that problem. As it turns out, it was a HP problem with that and the drivers for that. So to get around that problem, I just turned off sleep and hibernate. And it has two states. Either it's completely on or it's completely off, which works for now. Not the best solution in the world, but at least I found a solution for it. So packet sniffers. this is going to be something like a Wireshark, where it allows you to go, okay, these are the packets that are being sent over the network, and maybe you're trying to determine why there's such high network traffic, and then you go, okay, well, why is this LDAP packet being sent, or why is this packet being sent out of the network, right? Where you can start going, okay, maybe we have a breach, maybe we have someone in our network that's not supposed to be there. A packet sniffer is a good start to do that. It at least gives you awareness of what packets are doing. Okay, network monitors. Okay, this is going to be along the lines of, is something up? What is happening? What's the throughput? Right? General network monitors for that. So not necessarily packet sniffers, but it does track traffic in terms of network traffic. Hardware monitors, so your CPU and GPU usage in terms of heat. That's going to be one as well, because that can affect your performance. So your network monitors are going to monitor the equipment that's on the network and make sure everything is running as intended, but it's not necessarily going to tell you what those packets or network traffic is going to do. That's what a packet sniffer would be for. Okay, with that said, that was it. So I wasn't lying, it was quite a short presentation and recording, and that's going to be it for these pre-recordings that we did before the semester. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. There are going to be recordings from classes as the semester continues, and as we're doing it, essentially all the things that we have to do live that I have the ability to go, this is why we're doing this. Those are going to be recordings and be placed in this playlist as they come up. So stick around for that. If you're not enough, or if you are an Alpha State student, just be aware that it's going to come up, but you're going to have a warning in class that they're going to come up. If you're not an Alpha State student, just stick around. Probably around mid-semester, those are going to start coming in, and then we will move on from there. So if you've watched everything up to this point, good for you. You're definitely a trooper on this one. So with that said, I'm going to sign off, and that was the last one. So thanks for sticking with me.